Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to DIYSalvation Facebook Live show. I'm your host, Pastor E. Obele. Tonight, this month, we're starting a new topic tonight for this month of August. So, the topic we're starting tonight is Worldview. All right, and I'm going to start tonight by talking about what in the world is worldview, and then by next week I'll start talking about the kingdom worldview, and then we're just going to take it over and over from there. It's quite a vast topic, but I found out that it's very, very important that we start talking about it. When I started our ministry, it was one of the major things that the Lord put in my heart, to talk about and to do as a ministry. It's not just worldviews, it's a kingdom worldview. All right. So, but many people don't even know what it is. But I found out that if we have a basic understanding of what a worldview is, we find that we can actually understand people better. And if you're in the kingdom of God, you actually can win souls better. You know how to win people more. Your relationships will be, more interesting and actually be more beneficial to you. All right. Now, having said that, let me say this: people travel out of the country. And I see this trend where people think that when they travel out of the country, that the people that they meet are outside of the country. It doesn't matter which country you're in. They are better people just because they live in maybe in a city that is more developed than the place where they came from. All right, but I found out that it's really not necessarily true. Why? Because people are people everywhere, and I also found out that not only are people everywhere, but that places are places everywhere. It's just the same thing, just that some places are more developed than other places. All right, but people are people everywhere. Now, what makes each and every one of us different? What makes someone in Nigeria different from someone in America, or someone in Nigeria different from someone in London, basically, should be, the mindset, our worldview. That is what changes us, basically. Because if your worldview is not different, I'm just going to use this basic thought now. For instance, if you're living in Nigeria and you feel like you should live a better life, and then you feel like living outside of Nigeria would give you a better life. If your worldview is not that of, it's not a healthy worldview, it's not a biblical worldview, or it's not a kingdom worldview, what you would do is that you will go to whatever country that you're in and go and reproduce exactly what you were reproducing while you were in Nigeria. That means your life is not going to be different. It's just going to be different people that you meet, different people but your experiences basically will be the same. It will not be much different. And if you keep going on like that and you don't change your worldview, you find that you keep reproducing the same experiences, and it's just going to get worse. All right. So what makes us different in any part of the world is basically our worldview. All right. Now, what is a worldview? A worldview is the lens through which we see our world. If you saw the advert for this show tonight, you saw the picture of an eyes, and the pupil is the world inside. The pupil is the picture of the world. So what we mean is that your worldview is the lens through which you see your world. All right. It's a comprehensive perception, what you perceive the world to be, gained from all the knowledge that you have acquired over time. In other words, it is a person's point of view. It is how you see your world. This is how you see your world. Now, each time you talk to someone, you find out that each person that you speak to, their experiences in life basically is as a result of their worldview. Thank you so much, Dr. Nnamdi Norum. I like what he just said. He said a lizard in Nigeria can never become an alligator in America. And he says that's a quote from Archbishop Idahosa. That's correct. That's exactly what I mean by worldview. So it's your worldview basically is like your controlling beliefs. And these controlling beliefs, you got it basically from the knowledge that you have acquired over time. And this is how you see it. Let me explain this. So I have this young man, who schooled abroad, all right, and I used to know him when he was quite little. And so I'm talking with him over the phone, and all he's just saying is that he just wants to travel out, he wants to go to America. That's what is happening now, what is happening in Nigeria, and all of those things. And he was just complaining and complaining and complaining. And I really tried to talk to him over the phone, where I kept on saying, just come back home first. When you come back home, we'll talk, we'll sit down and talk. At least I'm back in Nigeria now, and I'm sure that when you come back, we'll be able to sit down and talk. And then now meeting him, I find out that his worldview it's completely different. I don't know where he got the thoughts that he got from, but what I had to do? I had to start, I had to start with a tabula rasa. I told him, listen, you don't know anything as of now, just clean everything that you've learned, and now let me start building, let me start teaching you some things that will give you a good foundation in life. All right, so a worldview is the lens through which you see your world. This is how you interpret circumstances that come your way, the lens through which you see your world. Now let me explain this. When I was growing up, I had a mixed worldview, and let me say the reason why I say I had a mixed worldview, because many people today, they wonder, so people meet me and they did you grow up outside Nigeria? No, I didn't grow up outside Nigeria. I grew up here. I was born, bred, buttered in Port Harcourt, in the university campus, basically. All right. But my worldview is basically what brought me to where I am right now. Okay, let me explain. When I was growing up, I kind of had a mixed worldview. At home, it was power fear worldview. Okay, power fear in the sense that my dad was a calm, very quiet person, but he was far beyond my reach. If we were to go out, sometimes maybe go shopping or something, and I'm going with my dad would be driving, and I'm sitting beside him, and I can't even say a word to my dad. It's so different from what we have these days, where children are just like chatterboxes, that they're just talking and talking and talking and talking. I couldn't say a word to my dad. My dad was not a mean man. He wasn't wicked. He was not even a flogging type, but it was a power fear worldview, in the sense that what the worldview we had was that everybody that you come in contact with has a certain power. You have to know the role of the person in your life. Is either it's an uncle that has rights over you, or is an auntie that has rights over you, or is your mom, or is your dad, or is even your elder sister or your elder brother. We had all this, power fear worldview. It was just there. I feared my dad because he was Papa. I feared my mom even more because she was a strict disciplinarian. My mom, if visitors come, she didn't want anybody to even meet us or see us or anything like that. And I was someone that wanted to really be friends with people, so I would just come and then I would sit, beside her, and then she just has to give me a look like this, and that was the end of it, and I had to go. So that was the kind of worldview I had. I had power fear worldview. All right, so it was like that at home. But now when I went to school, it was different. The worldview was a guilt innocence kind of worldview, in the sense that everything was more on deductive reasoning. It's cause and effect. You do this, or you read and you pass. If you don't read, you fail. It's just very simple like that, and it was black or white. There was no gray. It was either black or white. And I also didn't like that. I didn't really understand it, and I didn't like that. And also, the kind of person I am I'm the kind of person who, instead of going, I would not want to go to black, I wouldn't want to go to white. I always like the exception to the general rule. So when I got to law school, and I found out there was always an exception to the general rule, I always liked that particular phrase, the exception to the general rule, because I like to be the exception to the general rule. All right, so then that was at school. But what about at home? At home, we had Indian neighbors, and I saw that the worldview that they had was basically that of honor and shame. Honor and shame. The Indian, Asian. I think most Asians are like that, where it's always about honor or shame. Yeah, like you have to do things that are honorable, to the family, or else if you dishonor the family, then it's shame. Like that, things like that. So this kind of things, like kind of shit, it was mixed. At one point, I had to settle down and ask myself, what did I really want from life? And so I started shaping my worldview. All right, I started shaping it, and I found out that even at home right now with my kids, I see that the worldview I had even as a child, is what I'm seeing my children portray right now. And I'm like, where do you guys even learn this from? They're like, Mom, it's from you. And I'm like, really? So that's what I'm talking about worldviews. The lens through which you see your world, it matters. Everything. I found out that the major issue also that we have as believers is because of our mixed worldview, and and we used our worldview to interpret the scriptures, the worldview through which we grew. For instance, if you had the power fear kind of worldview, when they tell you that God is your father, you would not understand it, because you're like, really, like my dad, really my dad? Because the word dad was not that, it wasn't that interesting to me. Like, who is a dad really? I tried so hard to catch his attention, and he wouldn't even listen. It was just like that. And so if I'm going to pray to God and he's like my father, do you understand? It means that I had to talk to him all the time and try to get him to hear me, and try to catch his attention, and cry and wail and do all kinds of things before God would even listen to me. It took me a while to actually believe that God was listening to me, or God was hearing what I was saying, because of my worldview. Now, the way it says, scientists have said that a person's worldview is formed by the time he's 7 years old. That this person's worldview is formed by the time he's 7 years old. So you find that children, they already display, their worldviews. Now, I also found that, why am I talking about this? I found out that the issues, most of the issues that we have, in relationships and in our world today, is as a result of the controlling beliefs. And the controlling beliefs basically is what we call our worldview. All right. Now, the other day I came across a radio show, and they were complaining that women are no longer submissive to their husbands, and that by submission, what it meant was that, a woman, literally had to be a doormat, or she had to remain a punching bag, to her husband if her husband was hitting her. All right. Now, initially when you hear this, you'll be like, oh, really? No, I don't think they really meant it. But I was listening, and somebody called in and he was saying that before now, parents are actually contributing to children, to families being breaking up right now. Why? Because before now, parents would usually, if a wife came back home and said, my husband is beating me, and she ran back home, the parents would say, go back. Like they would just chase her literally. They had no place to run to, and they say, go back home. Even if he wants to kill you, let him kill you, he's your husband. That's what the person was saying. All right. And so the women were more likely to wait. Besides, most women didn't have anywhere to go, so they knew that this was their home and there was nothing else they could do. But then they now pointed out that these days it's not like that anymore, because right now if the woman's husband beats her, the father will say, I better come back. Is it that you don't have a father that the man is doing you like this? So they were complaining that it was not the right thing, that how can it be like that, that the parents are supporting marriages breaking up and all of that. Now, I'm not here to talk about whether or not they're correct or not correct, but why are they speaking like that? They're speaking because of their worldview. The African mentality, that's the African worldview, is that once a woman is given to a man, she is his property. All right, just the same way he bought chairs in his house and stuff like that. So she belongs to him. And because she belongs to him as his physical property, he had every right to do anything that he wanted to do with her, and she had no way of complaining. Now, over time, such women accepted that worldview. As we're growing up, women accepted those worldview, and okay, this is society for you. But over time, over the years, you find that women became liberated. They had other worldview thanks to media and thanks to arts and entertainment and things like that. To the other culture changed. There was a change in culture, and so now women now understand that, wow, I can be liberated from this, and I don't have to behave like this. Why do I say thanks to media? I see it even in kids. Our children nowadays are very, very different from the way they were, and they're not learning it at home. And my own kids, I don't know, they're not learning at home. Just this morning I heard my daughter, she was talking, and I couldn't believe the accent she was speaking in. She was in the bathroom, and I couldn't believe it. I was like really? Where is that coming from? And I'm sure she heard it in a movie or something, and she's just reproducing it. So the media is shaping people's worldview. The media very, very strong, shaping our worldview as well. So it's just surprising, and that's exactly the same that's happening to women. Women are like, really, like I have to really stay. Like you're not adding anything to my life. You're not. That's for the husband. Now you're not adding anything to my life, and here you are, you're beating me, you're doing all those kind of things, and what am I really gaining from this relationship? And what we see in media, we just reproduce it, and then everybody just goes. So now, what is the solution to all of these things? Is that our worldview has to change. If you want to change anything in your life, you have to first change the controlling beliefs. First, you have to change the controlling beliefs. in your life. Now, let me say this: worldviews are often taken to operate at a conscious level. The first thing I said was that your worldview is the lens through which the lens through which you see your world. Now, the second point is that worldviews are often taken to operate at a conscious level, directly accessible to articulation and discussion. So your worldview will be in your heart, all right? It's more of a soulish, will I say it's a soulish thing now, all right? It's more of a soulish thing because it comes from your wealth of experiences and wealth of knowledge, things that you've known, and suddenly you've just made up your mind that this is what the world looks like. This is it, and I mean, this is how I see the world. This is what it is. This is, you hear some people say, this world the world is not fair, or things like, no, life is not fair. Those are results of worldview, or like all men are the same, or all men are that. It's actually as a result of their worldview. They make some flat statements that to you just be like, well, how can you even say that? But that's what they see. That is as a result of their worldview, right? So now the worldviews that they do, it operates in a soulish realm or in the conscious level. You assess somebody's worldview through their speech when you're talking with them. That's what I mean. That is directly accessible to articulation and discussion. When somebody speaks, you get to know what they truly believe. All right. It's one thing for them, to hear it or to have it in their heart, but when they speak to you, the bulk of what they say to you is what tells you what they truly believe. And that's why I'm saying that sometimes we jump to conclusions. You really have to know the person that you're dealing with. For instance, now, there's when I was listening to the radio show now I was in a taxi, and so the taxi driver was saying this, and he said that he found out that when he was dating his wife, that they had such a good relationship, and they were actually living together before they got married, and that they had such an excellent relationship. It was so wonderful and all that. Now, after they got married, they had been living together and they had no problems, that they never had any issues for some years before they got married. Now, after they got married, his mom now comes to the house, and then she starts telling the wife that this is what a wife should do, and this is what a wife should do, and this is what the wife should do. So she begins to change everything, for his wife, basically. And so the place became uncomfortable, for his wife, because he's at home now, but they were now telling her what she needs to do in her own home, and she wasn't happy about it. All right. So now, what was he saying to me? He was saying that the society, he was complaining that it was the society, it was the worldview of the society, because he couldn't stop his mother now. Because him and his wife, they had an understanding before now, while they were in a relationship, they had a particular way of communicating. All right. And it was working for them for many years. Now, all of a sudden, they have this, his mom that comes now and starts, saying all this kind of things and saying, no, this is how women should behave, and this is how your wife ought to behave towards this is how your wife ought to treat you, and causing unnecessary trouble, between them. And he didn't understand it. So after a while, he said to himself that he had to actually cut them off, like cut his family off and say, no, please don't interfere in what I'm doing anymore, because you're just going to mess up, everything that I'm doing. Okay, so that's exactly what happened. Now, when he said this to me, I realized that some people's worldview actually comes, from like society as well, what society imposes upon them, all right, and that affects them a great deal. Now, let me explain. Let me say this now. I think it was Maya Angelou that said that the first time a person tells you who they are, you have to believe them. The first time the person tells you about themselves, that you have to believe them. And what did she mean by that? When you meet someone the first time and somebody says, this is who I am, listen very carefully. That's exactly who they are. And from that statement, you can actually know and understand what their worldview is. All right. Now, I met a couple of friends, childhood friends, some time ago. Last time I saw them was maybe just before I got into varsity, and I met them recently, and I was very excited to meet them. And so many things have happened to them, and so many things have happened to me. And I found out that all the talk, I had a rude shock. Why? Because all they talked about in hanging out, with them, and all they talked about was traffing. I didn't know what traffing meant, until someone had to tell me that it was sex, So they always would talk about these things, like, or make allusions to it, like that was all they were thinking about. There was really nothing more they were thinking about. There was nothing more that occupied their mind. That was just all like beginning to the end. This is it. There was nothing more. And it was shocking to me at first, because they were speaking about these things so much, and but after a while, what happened was that I noticed that it was actually the way they also lived. All right, they lived that same way as well, and really, I really didn't understand it at all. I got so like confused. It affected me, because I was like, I held these people in high esteem and all of that, but I didn't get it. Now I understand that when someone speaks, it's actually because they're actually telling you what their worldview is. When they're speaking to you, this is what they believe. All right, this is their belief system, and you understand the person from what they say to you. And many times, even sometimes, you see some husbands are very, very mean, and you wonder, why are they so mean? Go back and check their controlling beliefs. You find that the husband, when he was dating, he wasn't like that. He wasn't mean. But the moment he got married, society told him that I'm the man of the house, and my wife must be like the servant or something. She not submission now. She has to be subservient. It's either that. This is not submission, because I'm someone. I go for submission. I support submission. The biblical submission, I support it 100%. But this is what's that word now? Subserviency. All right. All right, so that's what it is. All right, so yeah, I just got this. Apostle Charles Ndifon, wow, thank you so much, sir, for listening. He said this. He said, never allow others to plant the wrong seeds in your garden, because words are seeds. Absolutely. I really agree with that completely. Blessings, Pastor Uyi. Blessings. Thank you so much, sir. All right, so if you want to change where you are in life, you must change the controlling beliefs in your life. And that's the reason why I started talking about worldview. Over the weekend, I had been believing that I was going to start talking about worldview, but I wasn't so sure about it until this weekend. We had such a great time in God's presence, where we had a very special guest at our ministers' conference. And within that period, while looking at the man of God preaching, and he was teaching us so many things, one of the questions that entered into my mind was like, what actually made him like this? Like, why is he different? And how is it that he's able to see these things? His perspective about, life issues is very, very different, refreshing, and actually eye-opening, and actually stuff that work, So I was asking myself, like, why is it, why is it like this? And I found out that his worldview is actually different. There was something about him. He had a kingdom worldview, maybe sometime early on in his life, apparently, and he was able to practice, put it into practice, and he saw it working. And so I felt like this was a confirmation. This was what the Lord really wanted me to talk about, this couple of weeks now. It's about worldview, and that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. Is just to say, what in the world is a worldview? And I'm saying that a worldview is the lens through which you see a world, and that lens through which you see a world will actually form the controlling beliefs in your life. And that if you want to change where you are in life, then you have to change the controlling beliefs in your life. All right, I'm just going to stop here tonight. If you have questions, okay, let me just one final thing that I'm going to add. Some worldviews are actually core. That means it's very, very deep into somebody's heart, like so deep. So they're deeply rooted that you don't easily see them in speech, like I've already said. However, it's reflected when, in moments of crisis of faith, all right? It's reflected. You never can tell what someone would do until they get into a situation that is very, very difficult. Some time ago, I had this situation where someone tried to take advantage of me, and because at that time I didn't have help, or I felt I didn't have friends. Also, I didn't have anyone to help me, and I think I've shared this before, where he tried to take advantage of me. He physically assaulted me, and after doing that, he was the one that went to the police to report to the police, and I was arrested, and I was beaten and tortured, and in fact, and then also he made what's that word now? No terms. Anyways, bottom line is that it was bad, so bad that, and I think he had some power somehow, so I was kept in police custody for one day. And then so I slept on the bare floor, cold and all of that, and after being beaten and all of that. And then the next day I was taken to jail, and I spent one day in jail. All right, and then I was released, and of course we had the case, and everything went well. Finished, the case finished. I won the case, of course, but everything finished. Now, at that point in my life, what happened was that with that period, my dad wasn't with me, but my dad couldn't really do anything, and I felt kind of bad because I felt like just my worldview was like that I really didn't have any man to help me, because I'm not, in my lifetime, I haven't really been in situations where I had men in my life per se that would say, okay, they could help me, or they could do this, or do the things that men are born to do or made to do. All right, so I had to really like battle throughout. Now, in this particular situation, before that time, I'd been praying so much. I'd been learning so much about ministry, was at the early stages of our ministry, and I've been praying so much. And that particular time, as I spent time in the police cell, I had not had anything to eat the whole day, but I wasn't feeling like it. I was just praying in tongues because I really didn't understand what was going on. I was in a lot of pain, and then I had this cold stuff and all of that in my chest. But I just kept on praying in tongues and praying in tongues and praying in tongues. It was at that point that I actually understood. I didn't know, up until this point, I'd had a lot of issues, in my marriage and so many things. My life had really been very, very difficult to this point. But I didn't know that from the time I started ministry, that I started growing spiritually. So much so that I had the capacity to bear this trouble. Nobody would have told me that if I'd been with if I'll be in police station or I'll be in jail for one day and I'll be calm. My dad was shocked. My dad, as if he should just, everybody. In fact, I remember people in church, they came and all of them, they said throughout the night that they couldn't sleep. The day I slept in detention, police detention, that they couldn't sleep, and that everybody that they were sleeping on the floor in their houses. They were home, like, Pastor, sleeping on the floor, and all of that. They all wanted to sleep on the floor as well. Anyway, but at that point, when they came to me when I was in police custody and they came to me, you wouldn't believe that I was actually consoling them. I wasn't feeling, not like I was concerned about my radio show, because I didn't want to miss what I wanted to teach on radio. All right, but at that point I was not really concerned about myself, because I figured that, well, if the fathers would sleep in jail, Paul would sleep in jail several times for the gospel. Who am I? That was what I kept on saying, and I was laughing about it, and my dad was just looking at me like, horrified, like, is she okay? Like, is she nuts now or something like that? Anyway, so that was what happened to me, but at that point I understood the strength that I had spiritually, not physical strength. I can't boast of that, okay? But I realized that I had grown spiritually, that I could actually stare trouble and stare problem in the face, and I was just praying in tongues. And when I got, when I was transferred to the jail, and I was there, all I did was just speaking in tongues, and praying and all of that, and I saw some things during the night, and I realized it was showing as a physical attack, but it was actually a spiritual attack, because the week before I just ordained cell leaders, right? So it was really connected. It was not so much about the person, that caused such harm to me, so of course it was easy for me to forgive him, because I understood where the attack was coming from, but it doesn't matter. So I just kept on praying, and all of that, and then I was released, and I was encouraging those at the jail, and trying to get them, to set them free and things like that. But the point I'm trying to make is that the strength that I had, I was surprised that I had it. All right. Then I now understood what my prevailing belief was at that point, and it was that I could do anything and nothing could hold me back. I just suddenly realized that what my worldview was that I understood that I didn't have anybody to help me. I understood that I didn't have, like, my dad was with me. My dad couldn't do anything. So I concluded, in my heart that if I'm in trouble, my dad will not come to my rescue, And at this point, I don't have anyone. I had to just lean on God, and I understood that this was my prevailing worldview. And if I look back over my life, this is how my worldview has been. All right. So some core worldview beliefs are often deeply rooted, but it will only come out to the surface in moments of crisis of faith. Okay. No scriptures tonight. If you're waiting, I know already somebody asking for scriptures. No scriptures tonight. But just go back and think about it. What is your worldview? Because it changes everything about your life. Once you can change it. Right now, I'm not where I really want to be. Okay, so already I'm in the process of changing my worldview. I'm telling you, this weekend was like a great eye opener for me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to change it. Like now, I'm going to really see. I'm going to see through the eyes of the kingdom. This is what God wants me to do, and that's the lens through which I'm going to see my world from now onwards. And that's where all of this teaching is leading to. That the lens through which you see your world should be the eyes of the kingdom, through the eyes or through the lens of the kingdom of God. All right, thank you everyone for watching. I'm just going to scroll through everyone that said something. I'm just going to read the comments. All right. So Dr. Namdi Norum says, understanding kingdom worldview is key to enjoying Christianity. That is absolutely correct. If you understand the kingdom worldview, you will enjoy Christianity, and it's true. Absolutely, I agree with you, sir. Thank you so much for your comment. Boniface, hi, it's good to see you again. Boniface says he's tuned in from Nairobi, Kenya. Pastor Israel Itopa, thank you, says a woman of God. Dr. Namdi Norum says a lizard in Nigeria can never become an alligator in America. Archbishop Benson Idahosa. All right, thank you so much for that, sir. All right, okay, just going through it again. Boniface Donmark says it's the spiritual atmosphere you live in that determines how you view the world around you. Thank you so much for that comment. I agree with you. Okay, Pastor Uyi, thank you. He said, wonderful. I am so blessed that Pastor Charles Ndifon is watching. Thank you so much, sir. You are my inspiration. Thank you so much, sir. Charlene, hi, my one-time best friend. Okay, and then we hear this from Apostle Charles. He says, never allow others to plant the wrong seeds in your garden. Words are seed. All right, so if there's anything you have to take away with you tonight, is that never allow others to plant the wrong seeds in your garden. And that's they speaking words over your life, or speaking words to you, or you exposing yourself to the things that they're saying even when you don't want to, because it's really going to affect you. Thank you so much, sir. It says powerful blessings, Pastor Uyi. Cheesy Monica, okay, thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting. Yes, through. That's right. Change your beliefs and change your life. This is like basically everything we'll talk about tonight. Change your beliefs and you change your life. Charity, my sister, says well said. All right, thank you everyone for watching. Oh, thank you so much, sir. Yes, Pastor Uyi, powerful testimony. Amen. All right, thank you everyone for watching. Tomorrow it's Thursday. Like I said, we will always having a prayer meeting at our church, Treasure Force Model Church, at number 9 Sharon Close, Eliprawa, off Old Ada George Road, Port Harcourt. If you're in Port Harcourt City, please visit with us. It's really a time of refreshing, awesome time in God's presence. Sometimes I minister. Right, I do minister, so you could come and have this awesome time. I'll share with you the testimony that we had last 2 weeks now, and that a sister came to our meetings and nobody laid hands on her. She said she had a pain from one side of her head down, one side of her body down, and she's had this pain for an entire year. And someone invited her for the meeting, and she just came during the prayer session, and she was completely healed. All right, and the next Sunday she had even more awesome testimonies, and we've had so much testimony. There's words of prophecy, things are happening at the prayer session. So if you're in the city of Port Harcourt, please join us. All right, our Sunday services also hold at the same venue, number 9 Sharon Close. The name of the church is Treasure Force Model Church at number 9 Sharon Close, Eliprawa, off Old Ada George Road, Port Harcourt. It will be really, really good to see you in church, and you're going to really have so much fun in God's presence. So thank you everyone for watching. If you do have questions, please inbox me. I will respond to you at my earliest convenience. If there's any topic that you would want for me to speak about, please also just feel free and talk to me about it. I'm here. It's DIYSalvation, is do it yourself salvation. That means that I really want to explain things to you that normally are not explained in church. All right, so that's why I'm here for you. So please send your messages and send your comments as well, and please do share. Thank you so much, Charlene, for sharing my video. Charlene used to be my one-time best friend. We're so close, long before varsity. Okay, so thank you, Charlene, for sharing the video. Please do share also. Thank you everyone for watching. Same time next week, we'll see you again. Bye bye. Good night.